Morning, everyone. Welcome to Grammar and Writing Lesson 79. Okay, let's be honest. I don't know if you're watching this in the morning, but anyway, hope you're having a good day no matter what time of day you're watching this. Let's start off with your vocabulary. The first part is a root focus, and this would be pseudo. Pseudo. And this is, again, a Greek root. Its definition is false or pretend, something that's not real. Often this is used as a prefix, not so much a suffix. So usually this goes in the beginning of words. For example, pseudonym. Pseudonym. So we know that this means that it's a false something. Well, what's a nym? This means a false name or pen name adopted by an author. That pen name is what we call the name that an author uses when they want to write something and publish it, but not under their real name. For example, do you know why Samuel Clemens wrote under the pseudonym of Mark Twain? So Mark Twain was the pseudonym of a man named Samuel Clemens. So he used the name Mark Twain anytime he would write and publish something. There are books like the Hardy Boys mystery books and the Nancy Drew mystery books. Hardy Boys were written by a man who went under the pen name of Franklin W. Dixon. And after Franklin W. Dixon died, the real man, more people would write these books and they would all publish it under that same name of Franklin W. Dixon. Same thing with Nancy Drew, were written originally by a woman whose pen name was Carolyn Keene. And then after, again, she died, people continued writing the books, but they used the same pen name, Carolyn Keene, even though it was different people writing. Pseudo-classic. So you're thinking, okay, false classic? Basically, it means it imitates classic literature. So it's not actually classic literature, but it imitates it. It tries to sound as much like it as possible. For example, some modern literature is labeled pseudo-classic. So it's modern, it can't be classic, because something that's classic is something that has kind of endured the test of time. So it's modern, meaning it's from right now. So it can't be classic, but it sounds like classic literature. Pseudo-invalid. Okay, an invalid is someone who is sick. So what do you think pseudo-invalid would be? A person who pretends to be sick. Very good. Someone who's not sick, but they act like they are. For example, the pseudo-invalid used a wheelchair to gain special treatment from friends. Oh, that's low, isn't it? If you don't need a wheelchair and then you go and use it, yeesh. But that person would be a pseudo-invalid. They're not actually sick, they're just pretending to have problems. So they get attention. Excuse me. All right, fill in the blank with the correct vocabulary word. Number 1, the blank unfairly obtained a handicap parking permit. So this is a little sticker or like a little card for your car that says you can park at these special spots that are closer because you're handicapped, because you can't walk or you have some sort of disability. Number 2, the Greek word blank means false or pretend. Number 3, Alexander Hamilton wrote using Westchester Farmer as his blank. Number 4, although the literary work bore similarities to classic literature, the modern novel was labeled a blank. Okay, if you have not yet filled in these blanks, go ahead and pause your video because I'm going to give the answers. So number 1 would be a pseudo-invalid, someone who's not actually handicapped, but they pretend so that they could get this parking pass. The Greek word pseudo means false or pretend. Alexander Hamilton wrote using Westchester Farmer as his pseudonym, his pen name. Although the literary work bore similarities to classic literature, the modern, meaning it was written right now, the modern novel was labeled a pseudo-classic. All right, let's talk about irregular verbs, everybody's favorite. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you work on memorizing them this year, especially the way we are right now in virtual classes. They're good to know, but we're not going to spend a long time on them. So not all verbs form their principal parts in the normal way. We call these verbs irregular verbs. So you need to become familiar with the following list of verbs. It's especially obvious in the past form and past participle that they are different. So here's your list. I'm not going to read through it. This is just a list that you need to be familiar with so that you use your verbs correctly. When you're writing and you need to write one of these verbs in the past tense, the rest of the list, you have this in your language book. Come look at your language book if you're not sure to make sure that you're using the correct form of the verb. Here are some other irregular verbs that I'm going to go ahead and talk through uh, just so that you can see what they look like. These irregular verbs are actually really easy because they have the very same principal parts for past and past participle as they have for their present. So that's irregular because normally you have to change the verb. So the present of set is set. Its present participle is setting, so I just add the ing. I double the consonant at the end because it's a single consonant with a short vowel in front of it. The past is the same, set. The past participle is also the same, I just have that have verb in front. Then for the verb cast, its present participle is casting, its past is cast, and its past participle is have cast. The present form of shut is shut. For a present participle, it's shutting. Again, we double the T because we have a single consonant preceded by a single vowel. Then its past is the very same as its present, shut. And the past participle is again shut. You just have to have that have verb with it. For the verb hurt, its present participle is hurting. Its past is hurt. And its past participle is have, has, or had hurt. For burst, now this is one that people like to say bust, but bust is not correct. It's burst, bursting, burst, or have burst. So today I burst, today I burst, I am bursting, yesterday I burst, I have burst. Not busted, never ever busted. That's really it for today's homework lesson because you're going to complete Language C, pages 123 through 124, all of it. What you're doing is going back to your irregular verb list and you're practicing by writing out the principal parts of those verbs, okay? So it's the writing it out just gives you practice at seeing them and using them so it gets more ingrained into your brain. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you